We're going to do a stretching exercise, which, as you know, we do at the start of every class to just kind of warm you up. So what I think we'll do today is we're going to look at this picture. Which is from Humans of New York, which is the best book ever. The trend in medicine has been to just treat the broken leg or the whatever physical issue, whereas the arts treats the soul. And for so many people, whether they're older, whether they're dealing with a chronic illness, whether they're coming back from war and dealing with whatever issues they're dealing with, it's not just the symptoms. That they're not a series of they're not people with just a series of symptoms. They're human beings, and the arts touches their souls, whether it's music, whether it's painting, whether it's writing. And I think what I see with my various writing programs is the telling of a story and the listening to a story creates a community, whether it's just by allowing your voice to be heard. I think both in allowing your voice to be heard and being validated by sharing what you have with somebody else, I think has immense powers to help heal a human being. What's your name?
My name is Mary, and I have been in this class since the beginning. 2 years?
A little more than 2 years.
A little more than 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I served in the Navy. I was a corpsman. I am a corpsman. Once a corpsman, always a corpsman. And this class has helped me find my voice. Finding community and meaning through writing at a level that's only forged through crisis or trauma in the past. And sometimes I think finding community with people that have some shared experiences for me in the past. That when I only interacted with people based on trauma, it was like a frozen thing in time, and I would stay stuck. This class is helping me. I might not look at either of you guys other than smile and wave, in the street. And I really have a sense of community. I mean, we talk to each other outside of here. We're all very different people, but I have.
There's a trampoline outside.
I feel like y'all have my back, and I have your back, and it's all about fighting. But the writing and the positive feedback and the encouragement and the constructive criticism it's played a lot to change my world, to make me a better person when I'm out there, because this is a great place to practice.
My name is Carlton. I served in the U.S. Army for 27 years. My last job was as an electronics technician, it's basically like an engineer. I got hurt in Afghanistan and fell off under imminent threat of a mortar attack. I fell off a roof 14 feet, crushed my spine, my shoulder, and my hip. I came in this group because they recommended I come, and I need to get better. I have cognitive issues from the fall, so I'm constantly fighting with myself to not be reclusive, which I was not before. The writing's helping so that I don't be as reclusive in talking with people, and even like I see double my eyes, and it discourages me from writing and stuff like that.
Go to it. Grab words. No thinking. Y'all are thinking.
Yeah, okay, just put it out there.
I would have no thinking here.
My name's Lat Bowen. I was in the Army. Got injured in Iraq in an IED. Spinal cord injury. Got some TBI out of it. Problems with the brain. Messed up hearing. Ears are pretty bad. I'm here because I have some anger issues pretty much, and one of the ways that I got that helped me initially a few years ago, I found, was art. I was happened to be assigned to NATO at the time, and a Italian gentleman threw a canvas down and some acrylic paints and said, put some paint on that canvas. And I was so confused at the time. I was angry and so confused, and I just did it, and it kind of started relaxing me. So every time I started getting angry after that, I just started painting, and found out I really suck at art, but it does relax me. So
what I find intriguing, like I think when I look at this class, I'm always struck by how very different you guys all are as humans, and if when everybody's all together, it hits you even more. You come from different backgrounds, you were in different branches of the military, you were there for different times, some are combat vets, some aren't. I mean, really, run the spectrum, age-wise, everything-wise. And yet, I find in this class, there's this big connect. And so I was hoping you guys could each speak to that, because I see it in every one of you. So could you talk about that? Like, why does that happen? What is that?
It's the service. No matter what service you're from, it's still a common thread to discipline, and you get used to meeting a lot of new people, and the binding element of all that is your experience as a veteran. Mm-hmm. So no matter what service you come from, you all served, and you served, with selflessness. So you recognize that in each other, I think, and you accept people for who they are because you're exposed to so many people. I had 27 years, and God, I can only imagine how many people I've met. As a lieutenant, I met, I always had 400 or 500 people under me, so even as a staff sergeant, when I went back as a staff sergeant, I had a lot of people around me because of my experiences, and they drew off of me. So, and that's, I think we draw off each other's experiences and live through each other's eyes in this class.
Like they say, it's the less than 1% that serves. So I mean, it's a small group, and it's it's like a fraternity. It's you go there, and regardless of what branch you are, you at least did one thing. Everybody goes through at least basic training, so you at least went through that hell with each other.
Yeah.
I like that there's something about the sharing of things sometimes that are really personal, from past or present or service or not, that as we're writing, telling stories, can come up. And I feel like, when it's organic, there's been some really personal stories shared in here. That's just, it's a gift. It's a gift to have. And I can only imagine in combat how you might turn to somebody and trust them. This is a different kind of combat perhaps, but it doesn't feel like frozen energy. It's like that ice cube is melting.
Well, you kind of bring up an interesting point too, because you're all in very different contexts of your lives as a result of brain injuries, and you sort of have to reshift. And I wonder how does this fit in with that? Because I know that you've all, and I've watched you, each of you struggle with sometimes the physical act of writing, sometimes the atmosphere of it. Why do you keep going? Why? What is it that keeps you coming back?
You. No. Gives me that time away from myself, because I have severe PTSD and major depressive disorder. And it gives me that 1 hour respite from a week, at least in my own mind. And I still battle even when I'm here, but you know, the PTSD is, sometimes it's ferocious, it just isn't, it's relentless, it doesn't stop. So hopefully, you know, that usually when I come here, I at least try to focus on what we're doing.
You know, when I'm at home, it feels like, even when it just feels like, you know, I'm always thinking about, damn, my back's killing me, my knees killing me, my head's killing me. At least when I'm in here writing, it's like I get to think about something other than how bad my back hurts. So it's kind of like the writing gets my mind off how bad I hurt. So it's like a break from the pain almost. So that's kind of like, well, the 1 week, why do we come back? It's almost like a scheduled vacation from the pain.
Some clues are helpful that you've given for me. Like if you don't know what to write, start with physically describing physically what's in front of you. And so I think something that I might add is clues and guidance that we get in here from you and from each other are not things that if I were sitting at home, I was able to come up with by myself. So that was really helpful. Continues to be really helpful. And also, when I start getting down on my writing or feeling stuck, coming in here and somebody else is talking about how they're feeling stuck, or and so I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's just a cool thing, and it's nice to have that.
Like you're trying to change the wind with your breath?
That was so cool. That's the best story. That story.
That was good.
One of the big issues with PTSD is not living in the moment. Writing forces you to live in the moment and explore the 5 senses. And continually in my therapy, they always want you to focus on the 5 senses for the moment. And it's very difficult when you're battling the PTSD to do that. So when we write, we typically start with our 5 senses, like you've always done, and you know, describe what's going on, and that kind of takes me away from the precipice of the PTSD for a while. You know, but it's very hard to continue on a day-to-day basis. You
know, it's interesting to hear. I mean, for the whatever 2+ years I've been doing this, I don't think I've ever asked any of these questions. So it's really interesting to hear, you know, to hear it from that side, which is kind of cool.